Hello, we're back. Door became small. 6 wide W.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, we should have, like, gone for the head, but we did, so, yes. Basically, funny closing, split between two halves of the door because, then ROM, then decoders, and then 104 cards that aren't here because my man forgot to place them SMH. No, it's fine.
I'll paste them in now.
Nah, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't want to lag the server. But yeah, large funny. Yeah. So I guess we can get started with the input circuits. Or I guess like the circuits that are non-decoder based. Firstly, let's go with. I guess I should probably start with the DP TP because like it's kind of important. It only gets powered like a few hundred times. This is effectively ripped from Arma and Gang's 10x10. Nothing too much different with this. We have. Oh, come on. We have just like the input being this line here goes down, powering this piston, powers stuff, and then timings happen. Nothing too insane. The only thing that is different is that instead of having this weird dropper box with the torch and the jank input, I just turn this into a large dropper loop, and then it powers stuff. Where is it? Stuff over here. Powers this dropper to re-raise the item for the storage pulse, which is this mech here. For more in-depth explanation about the circuit, go watch Arma's video on it. Kind of cracked. Yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. It's kind of funny though. Where did you go, Glass? Where?
You kind of did it out of order. Whatever.
Okay, the point was okay. Whatever.
Okay, so yeah, basically we don't have a top. Instead, we use 6 tapes. We have 6
7.
tapes from. Oh yeah, including the floor and 6 above the floor.
Oh.
But so the tape control is yet another tape, and that's these pink circuits here. That basically moves this piston to the correct height. Getting everything to fit in here while also having room to like power purple in the right way was kind of pain, but also not pain, but whatever. So on this side, on the top, we have a circuit that only uses pressure plates. Yeah. So the input is this piston. When the slider goes up, we have a floated stand that powers the piston, and that does the pull, that pulls it in. And there's another stand that pushes it down, and also pushes the slider return piston down as well. Wait, I just realized we don't have a redundant piston here. Whatever.
Oh no.
And for the and for the bottom, we have a floated cart that puts an item in the hopper, and that will power this sticky. And then when this sticky retracts, it will bonk this floated cart up into that pressure plate and power the other one.
Ignore the cards inside the tape for now. I'll get to those in a second.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. On the other side, it's even weirder because we need to make room for this jank purple powering, which I will get you later. So the input again is this piston. On the top, we have this weird thing that we discovered to return the piston. So basically, although this armor stand gets you to the pressure plate, it does it really early, like before the bottom piston is done powering. But the way we do that is we put 2 armor stands in there, and then the weighted pressure plate for some reason takes a while.
Yeah. So if I put this on, you'll see it go from 1, then 2, and then that signal strength decrease. Even if the dust isn't there, we'll update the thing to go down. This will be like that. Yeah. And that's really funny. And then yeah.
Yeah. That took like an afternoon to discover. So, anyways,
More like
yeah,
3
and then on.
afternoons, but
Okay. And then from there then this floated stand, we have a lot of float stand, is a falling edge from that that, and that will power the top piston here. Another reason why this was annoying is we can't like do the same thing here where we have like a plate that powers both pistons, and then like update order shenanigans because because on this side we also have pistons in the tape that are facing wait, which way is this? This is downwards, right?
mm.
Yeah. So if we do that, then this piston will be the one that gets powered instead of when it makes it in there instead of the top piston that breaks
Pretty
everything.
sure you've probably
Also,
killed pink, but okay, whatever.
did I break something? I didn't break anything actually. It's fine.
Kind of
Everything's
did. Just don't power pink anymore. It's Kami's priority dead anymore.
Okay. Alright. Fine. And the bottom again is yet another clusterfuck of entities. So wait, what does this card do?
That's part
Oh,
of.
that's part of the
closing.
loop.
Yeah.
Yeah, like none of us know how this door works anymore. So because this thing the top piston takes a while to power, we need like a bit of delay before we power the bottom piston. So we have a stone pressure plate here. It's stone pressure plate because there's a cart in it and only the arm stand powers that. And then this tiny loop here makes a falling edge, and if you look in there's a comparator that powers the bottom piston.
Yeah.
Oh, and the top piston is, I mean, not top, the side piston is powered just by this detector rail here when the slider goes up. It's like the first thing that happens.
One thing you should kind of forgot to note, the reason that we can have the plate shenanigans on this side is because we have room for an anvil to block this is a side-facing piston, so that's nice. This side, it's the wall, so you don't really have that. And then down here, there's basically like no room to have move this comparator anywhere, so you kind of can't really have obsidian. Yeah.
Alright.
Is it time for the circumnavigation of the door?
Oh yeah, that.
So basically, I just want to go in through first through the main circuitry of the purple tape. Effectively, it's one massive loop, as you can see. Just this loop that kind of goes across the way and then back. And that's like what this cart blob's sort of blocking, blocker carts, among other things. A lot of precise entity shenanigans in here, but just going with the basic wiring for now, we have the input is this torch. I'll get to the decoder later, which powers that dust. Come on. This dust goes into this rep here. Powers this jukebox. This jukebox is an immovable target, things 1.19.4. Powers this dropper, which has an item in it. Item gets sent up into this chest cart, which is sucked then by this hopper cart, and then goes into this hopper. Goes into this gap of 3 carts here. This is actually precise to the 80th. That hence the honey, all the precise clips, whatever. Nothing too bad, but it's something that took like a solid hour for me to figure out the maths for. This cart here is this is exactly 1/80th above the hopper. This is like whatever plus 0.3125, and then that plus 2 times 3.0, yeah, whatever. So this card is at 0.95, I think it is, and it's whatever this height is, so it works. So this hopper goes to this hopper, goes into this hopper via this chest cart and this bottom hopper cart. The reason why we have a lot of these like normal cart, hopper cart, hopper cart, hopper cart instead of like the normal, I guess you would say standard furnace cart blocker is because if the furnace, like the visual furnace in the cart, even though it's not part of that hitbox, would still show above the floor, and that's kind of necessary to not have for seamlessness. So that's why we have like these 3 hopper carts and this normal minecart here, just as blockers. So then we go from this hopper, this chest cart, this hopper cart, into this hopper, into this stack, which is very similar heights to over here, or height differences rather. So it's a gap of 3 and then 2 laterally, so it's the maximum gap you can do. And then that's read by this comp. So the way this side works is that the comp powers this normal piston here, which pushes over this row of blocks, whatever. Then when it retracts, it'll retract this furnace cart here back into this plate. This furnace cart is on top of this this furnace cart as well, so it'll power the plate, which will power this sticky piston retracting the block. And then we also go into this ABBA, which is kind of painful. The way this has to work to have pistons in the tape is that when this pushes down, rather when it's butted with the block here, this needs to power then this, or this it would be, I guess. But then you can't just have that, or else it'll do that. So you have to make sure that the, sorry, this would be on first. You have to make sure that this turns off then this, so that's why it's a massive ABBA. This is really funny, but it works. So we just get like a plate pulse, gives, turns this burn off, for the 2 items to go up to here, so this will get a really long pulse, this will just get a 4 tick, and then this is a really nice falling edge, whatever, like 2 tick I think it is. Kind of jank, but it works. Yeah, not much else to say about this. And then stuff goes over here, goes to these, and then over into this hopper. There you go. Goes into a chest cart with this blocker. Goes into this hopper, goes to return. There's also a lot of actual like blocks that serve as blockers rather than just have blocking carts, just because bonking exists. So we have this cobble wall and this player head to laterally limit the boat. Then we have this furnace cart and this anvil here to laterally limit this chest cart, while like the other direction is carried by other carts. This hopper cart is only pushed in this direction, so we just have a fence gate here. And then vertically it's blocked by this this end rod here, and that just works nicely. One of the jankier parts of the door is having this rail as an updater, because when you get a new item, this will 4 tick, refiring the dropper, whatever, that's fine. We have this 4 tick goes up into here, powers this 4 tick, powers the sand. But if this was a solid updater, this would perma bud, because the pulse is too long. So you have to have a transparent updater, which in this case is a rail, and then you have to have a sand on top, and then the sand is just there to, you know, fall. It's clipped down onto the rail by the boat. 4 ticks later, this piston powers, and that pushes the block over. The reason why we have this long delay is because this 1 tick, sorry. I'm gonna have to cut that out anyway.
You muted yourself.
Thanks. I'm gonna have to cut that out. That still go into the comp, goes into the 1 tick, goes into this 1 tick, goes into the slab tower, and they'll also, you know, refire the dropper. But the reason this slab tower, like, it'll power on the first thing is because when there's a piston here, and then like blocks all the way over here, this is already push limit, because, you know, push limit, it's long, it's 2 plus 9 plus 3, you know, definitely larger than push limit. But because you have but when this piston pushes, this is exactly 12, so it can push, so it'll push the block over, and that just works. So that's how we get that to work. Anything else I missed?
I think that's everything for the purple tape.
Cool. Closing time, I guess. Well.
Okay, so that's the inputs. Let's get on to like actually how.
Oh wait, no.
So
wrong. GNF.
Oh yeah, that mess.
Alright, so this is another part that I spent a solid like 3 hours on. It was also changed a lot, but oh well. Basically, the inputs for these bottom 2 inputs, they're not normal because they're like basically impossible to be normal. The G input because, you know, to shape the bottom layer, the F input.
We did all that just to get like these 3 blocks of space.
Yeah.
Kind of need for it.
Yeah. So basically, I'll start with the G input, which is like this bottom row of pistons here. So this sticky piston pushes over this boat with this boat in a cart. powers this tripwire, powering these 4 blocks, and then this tripwire powers this dropper here, and also locks its return hopper here. So the item will go into this chest boat, goes into, where is it, this hopper here, goes into this chest cart, into here, which goes into this hopper cart, and then the item stays in this hopper because everything else in front of it is full, and everything in front of it isn't refilling the dropper because the hopper's locked here. So this comp will then stay on, powering this this composter boat thingy. This will power these 4 with the tripwire and the block. And then over on this end, this also powers this torch, retracts this cart here, powers this plate, which powers this bottommost piston, which is all 9. So yeah, there you go. This took way too long to get around, but oh well. Additionally, we have this F input here. We just get a toggle from the decoder, which powers this dust line. You get 1 piston just by the dust here. The next piston is powered by this comp when the cauldron pushes over, and the cauldron has a boat in it, so the boat will be pushed over onto the plate, powering this piston. Comparator powers these 3 repeaters. That's basically the most normal input we have here. Then it powers the bell. It has to be a bell because if it was like any other updater, the boat would bonk against the updater, and then, you know, yeah, not part of the tripwire. So yes, it has to be a bell. Yes, it's funny. This powers the piston here, powers the boat, powers these 3 plates, 2 to power the pistons, 1 to keep this on. This is a dropper hopper, goes into a comparator, goes into there. Nothing too painful, at least in my eyes. And that should be those 2 inputs for those who are complaining about them. Now it's time for closing, right?
Okay, now actually closing time.
Yeah.
So for closing, in here, when the input is turned off, we have a falling sand 1 tick here. That gives 1 tick to both sides, once to like the storage and once to the warm. In here, the 1 tick also powers this dropper counter we have here, which basically sends an item up here, powers that comparator to give another pulse from that piston. The items get locked in that hopper.
Well, it's more like the hopper cart, but oh well.
Oh yeah, well the hopper's locked, so the items get stuck, and then until the opening again. So that gives exactly 7 plus 1 pulses, because 1 from the lever itself. Now to power the worm, we have a 3 tick followed by a 4 tick. That gives like a bunch of pulses that have only 1 tick off in between them. That's what we need for a worm. But because we need to put a bunch of other circuitry like next to the worm, we can't have like normal dust lines. Otherwise we have like no space. So if you look over here, we have this really jank repeater wall. It just kind of works. There's also like missing repeaters, but like don't worry about it, it just works. Oh yeah, and also down here, that one's 1 repeater facing the wrong direction.
It's the right direction,
that's
but
fine
also the
because
wrong direction. Yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, but that's just because that's the bottom layer of normal pistons, so the timings on that can be like whatever. But every other height there, the timings have to be consistent. So, yeah. That's the closing storage, and then the final move of the closing, after like spinning all the storage blocks out, is the triple piston extender. So if we go back to the main door, here we have a really weird loop that basically splits items into this hopper, and this hopper is locked. And because the worm spams a bunch, this hopper stays on until the worm is finished, which then unpowers this piston. And then here we have a entity-based falling edge, which then powers that, which is part of the decoder, which eventually makes it over to power a triple piston extender. We'll get to the decoder part later.
Yeah. And then you might be wondering, well, if the input's over here and the ROM's over down there, how do we get down there? Yeah, if you saw the old explanation of me rambling for 30 minutes, you might have a slight hint of why, how rather, and take that extra block. We just have a jank loop. So from the torch on the closing one item from this full dropper. Oh yeah, everything's full. One item will be locked into this hopper by the torch. The torch turns off, but by the input, it goes into this chest cart, into this hopper cart, into going back over here, this hopper cart chain, into this soul sand. This hopper cart's floaty that way, so it'll be sucked by this hopper. Powers the first bits of the ROM that it needs to, gets put into this boat cart, goes into this dropper, which is then item filtered out into its return. So the return consists of a full-ish hopper, full boat to chest, gets sucked by this hopper, goes into this chest cart, inside the monoceable, pretty standard, just goes up. Here we have a funny where we have to like avoid all the wiring. You can't really go that up this way because reasons. So you have to go into this hopper, into here, into this dropper, into this dropper, into just this massive dropper column. No, this isn't lock. Everything spams enough for it to be okay. Then into this chest, and then these 3 droppers into this chest cart, into the hoppers, into here. So yeah, that's the return. This went through like 15 revisions. Nothing too bad.
No, High Hearthy was just too eager to do the loop, so he did it like before we finished the rest of the circuitry. So we had to like redo it a bunch of times.
That's not the point.
Yeah, and the whole loop is full because we have an ion filter and right down here.
Yeah.
So.
Basically.
Okay, so in case you don't already know, like in a normal door, piston doors is just about powering all the right inputs at the right times, right? Like in a normal door, you'll make a fancy circuit to do that all for you. In this door, we're too lazy to do that, so we just have a ROM to just literally like.
I wouldn't say too lazy. It's more like too cramped for space.
Yeah. So this is like the ROM part. It's the heart of the door. Basically, there's gonna be a bunch of carts stuck on this powered rail here. And inside the carts, we have a bunch of music discs. They get put one at a time into this jukebox. We read the signal strength. We decode that signal strength to power one of our inputs, and then we cycle through, and that kind of just does the whole opening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only about like 1,500 moves or.
Well, that's excluding this, right?
I don't know. I think that's whatever. Doesn't matter. So the whole reason why this works is because if you have like a pile of carts and then you use a slime block to like launch them, for some reason only one cart comes out, and also the order is consistent. It's the same order that they were placed on the rail in the first place. So or the same order they were spawned into the world, but whatever. So yeah. And all the rest of this is control circuitry to get that ROM and reset to work.
Yeah.
I guess I can place like a few cards here. Actually, I'll just load in an actual ROM.
Right. Yeah, that's fine. It's like 2808 ish moves, like with like I'd say like 1K ish weights. I guess I don't know. That's probably a gross underestimate, but oh well.
We have a lot of waiting moves because we're just waiting for the purple tape to happen. So.
Yeah. As you can see in this first chest alone, we have over half the card is to waiting moves. Anyway.
I think we have several full cards that are just only waiting moves because whatever. Whatever.
Pain.
I think it just still works. So when the jank loop happens, that powers the rail, and then we get our first cart. Except it died because rolled at it. Whatever. Let's just pretend that it worked properly. So items come out of the chest into the jukebox. That then powers this. And now here I have a web timer, and that just holds the hopper locked so that we get our timing. That's limited so that the door doesn't take a day. Instead, it only takes 8 hours. So instead of waiting for like the jukebox to completely, wait for the whole disk. We have that's sucked out of this by this hopper cart.
That
Now
also saves
this,
like at
yeah,
least
that's
like
at
insane amount
least
of time.
a month.
Yeah.
It's like a month. It's like whatever. Well, it's like 5 seconds instead of 3 minutes. So whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, yeah, that's on this activator wheel, which we momentarily turn off. That sucks it up. Inside here we have now. Inside here we have a dropper loop that eventually powers that comparator, and all that does is just send the disk back up into this chest up here. That's used for storage. Another note: you have to load the disks back into the same chest where it came from, otherwise the order gets messed up. So that's what we have here.
So that's actually something interesting to note, because the way the slime block separator works, it's based on UUID. So if you had like a filler cart that would like be replaced and then just like cycle the carts, the UUID would be cycled, be off cycle by 1, so everything would just be wrong, which is bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then excellent timing. When the last disc goes, this burnout happens, which sends the cart, lets the cart through, and then it gets loaded. And then here, on the side here, when the final disc leaves, that lets the cart down back into the piston, well, onto the rails. And then that also powers the burnout. And then we have another really annoying loop here that eventually fires the slime block piston again, sending another cart.
Yeah.
I kind of don't want to get into how that loop works because gives me too much trauma. Actually, I will. So when the record eventually makes it to this hopper, it gives a signal strength 3, powers this dropper, puts an item in there, it gets locked in there. When the cart is empty, the burnout happens. The item's still stuck in here. But then after the cart is empty, this just turns off, so the item is in that dropper. Then on the burnout, this torch turns off and on twice, sending the item up through here, down, into that barrel, into there, into that chest, into there, powering the slime block, and into that chote, which was really fun to clip in, and then finally back into the home dropper.
Yeah.
And the same dropper is the one we have the item filter for.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a jank loop needs to do that. Okay, that's the ROM. You want to just leave that running in the background?
Sure.
No, let's just turn it off.
Yeah. Also, this is very funny, nice way to pause the ROM. Just power the
Yeah, we did it a lot
jukebox.
when testing, so yeah.
Decoder time. Okay, so I mean, you kind of just get a signal out from this dust line. You saw as it was going, like these are giving like a ton of signal strength. Like, how do you decode? Basically, the principle is on signal strength n, power it, and any signal strength greater than n, block the powering or don't power it. So for this one, for example, we power this block, which is then after a tiny bit updated to power. This will push up the block, and then it'll just form a 1 tick. But on signal strength 2, this powers first because this is less delay, and then just blocks. And then if you're wondering, why doesn't it update? It's still powered. Well, that's why we have a rising edge only updater for this, and then it kind of just works. So that's
that updater also adds like a little bit of delay before the bottom piston pushes,
Yeah.
so we only get 1 pulse instead of 2.
Yes.
Yeah. Dispenser OP.
And then for signal strength 2 but not 3, 2 is this dust here, so this powers this piston, pushing up this this stand very slightly. It's like, because it's still in the web, it works, don't ask. This will extend and retract this piston, giving a 1 tick gen here, so this will power. Then this will push immediately back up, giving a 1 tick. But for signal strength 3, this is powered first, so that'll happen. And then because this is like a shorter pulse, this turns off after 5 ticks. Then this also turns off after like 5 or so ticks, maybe like 5 redstone 6 plus 1 game check, I forget. But then the piston's still moving, so this doesn't power. Pretty standard stuff.
Yeah. So signal strength 3 doesn't power anything because we couldn't get it to power anything else. Also, so we just use that as our waiting move. So the mover does nothing, which is why you saw a lot of blocks disc being played over there. So next is our input for the double and triple piston extender. So the way, if you recall from Arma's video, this double triple is a 3-tick for a double piston extender and a 4-tick, could be a little longer for a triple piston extender. So the way we do that is when signal strength 4 happens, we power this dropper, which will send an item into that hopper, reading, that gets read into this piston, and then that will power that comparator's sending input. So normally this will, the hopper gives 4 ticks and this subtracts 1 tick, so we get a 3-tick pulse. However, when the signal strength is just 1 higher, that powers this comparator, which powers that repeater, which locks this hopper for a little bit longer. And because this entire loop is like completely full, from like there to that chest to there to the choke that's in the middle of the piston stack, to there, that means it takes just a little bit longer for this piston to turn off. So that gives us like a 4.5 tick or something like that, and that gives a triple. And then for higher signal strengths, we thought we could just do a thing where we just make this comparator turn off because the dust is there at signal strength 2, but that still gives like a 1 tick. So we just have a thing here where that turns off that torch and just pulls the block away completely, so it's giving the output. Yeah. So that's signal strength 6 and higher. And then for signal strength 6 is also the input to the
Worm or
the
tape.
to start the purple tape.
Yeah.
That's basically these repeaters. So signal strength 6 will unpower that torch, but signal strength 7 will keep the block powered anyways. So then this other torch on the tower powers, and then that gives our input, and that starts the tape.
Yeah.
And then going back around here, this powers on 5, this powers on 6, this powers on 7. 7 is another dead pulse, I think, but we couldn't get it to do anything, so it's just a dead pulse. So at signal strength 8, we power, this block gets powered, which powers our repeater, which powers the worm, and we need that at some point to get like the storage blocks up, so there's enough storage blocks to put up into the stack. But at signal strength 9, this piston powers first, pushing that block out of the way so we don't get a pulse. Yeah, and that signals continue to get carried down here for more decoders.
8 goes to 9. Decays to 9. This decays to 9 still. So this 9 will power this 4 tick, which will give a 1 tick toggling. This piston goes to the G input. But on 10, this comparator turns off, depowering this, powering, where is it? This. So this will just be like a double invert, so this will power. And then that'll lock the 4 tick from powering, so we don't get a pulse. And then continuing, we have, this is still 10, this is, alright, is this 10? Yeah, this is 10, this is 11. So this will still technically power on 11, right? So we just compare it to, this is 2, I think, yes, compares to 2. So on 13, this will powering this 3-tick, powering the dropper hopper, shenanigans, whatever. But then on subsequently higher signal strengths, like this will, on 15 for example, this will be too big for this comparator to compare to, so this will turn off, this will turn on subsequently, this will lock the repeater so we don't get a pulse. So yeah.
Anyways, the reds did basically this entire corner of decoders, so yeah, we're kind of reverse engineering it up. But, whatever. So signal strength 10 and 11 is our 1 tick and 4 tick into the storage or piston stack respectively. The way we do that is at signal strength 10, This powers, which then powers this monostable, which gives our 1 tick. But at signal strength 11, that's going to power that repeater, because that does power that block thanks to 1p16. That pushes this piston, which then pushes that armor stand, powers that plate, and that's gonna block the monostable. So we get a 5-tick pulse instead. It's actually 5-tick, not a 4-tick. But then at higher signal strengths, this gets powered, which then pushes that and basically pushes the monostable out of the way. So then it just kind of does this.
What? Yeah, it's basically a double. So you just go this will power, then this will power, then this will try to power. But wait, no, it's as this is moving. Sorry, this will try to power but can't because this is all block 36. So this powers, and that just happens.
And then here we have another dropper hopper so that this actually retracts at some point, because I think it does like this.
Yeah.
So that is an extra pulse to retract that. Yeah, that's like... Yeah, and that nicely used up like every single air block bit of space that we have like everywhere on the door.
There's like a couple, like there's a crater over here, there's a crater over here-ish.
Crater? Like there's no crater like more than 3 blocks in size.
Oh. Which is funny.
Like even this class here is necessary, yeah. I think.
It is, yeah. Maybe.
No, it's not actually.
No,
it's not. I'll just...
Also, it's a kind of funny thing to note is that like this is like a border along all of this because A, it's not usable because the dust, and B, it's kind of funny.
This here, all this is like being hard powered, so we can't really power anything.
Yeah. There's a lot of funny.
Yeah, the warp powers that line, but.
Yeah. I think the only slight worry or clips were like these like I mean obviously there's like these blocks where like these cards had to be like not yeeted. All of these had to be not yeeted by the blocks sliding in the tape. I think we have blockers for our blockers for our blockers for our blockers. So instead of just pushing like 2 carts here, we have to actually make room for these item carts, so we just extend the blocker chain over this way so that when blocks get pushed over this way, these carts don't move. And then there's just also like a lot of precise clips, as I mentioned earlier. Stationary honey, I think there's 2 of them here because honey is kind of cracked.
We forgot about pink, but that's like not even a decoder.
Yeah, so basically this is 9, this will be 10, this will be 11, 12, 13. So on signal strength 11, or I guess 13 rather, this will turn off, setting an item over here, powering this, and then this will just repeat it over. It's not really a decoder, just power on high signal strength because it's the highest that we need.
Yeah, we did pink for that because there's 2 inputs for that, so yeah.
Yeah.
You should have like... Wait, why was this so hard before? It looks so simple now.
Something. We had the comp here instead. Yeah, I forget.
We need you to like redo this orange closing thing, like.
Yeah.
Make it really weird.
Because you couldn't.
Out of the way of that. Yes.
Have this, and then this just had to be over here on top of this block here.
Yeah, we can't have a. We should have a comparator here, but there's like 1,200 things that like.
We thought would work, but that didn't. But yeah.
Yeah, like this door was completed in quotes like a week ago. And then we ran into an issue, and then we ran into an issue, and then we ran into an issue, and then we ran into an issue. So yeah.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun building this store though. Surprisingly, only took like maximum. When was like the original? Like a month ago ish, maybe, I forget. Like 3 weeks, I forget. Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Earlier there's actually plans to just have, instead of having a gap hopper, you just go from this cart all the way down to this hopper. The issue with that though is that I choose 1 hopper over, but we needed actually more delay than we were given, so we just added hoppers. So this is maxed, but this side is not maxed because big sad. But oh well.
Yeah, and that makes the entire door kind of slow. Most of it just waiting for tape.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that should be everything. So showcase will be on this man's channel. I'll provide a link for that in the description.
Oh yeah, I have a YouTube channel. I should use it.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, and then whatever tutorial coming soon, TM, if I actually have like time and motivation to do it all in one take.
You're actually building a tutorial on this?
Yes, I am.
8-hour tutorial?
Yeah, probably. Cube RBO 5x5 level lamp style, probably. One take. You know, it'll be fun.
No, I want to build a tutorial.
We can do it together.
Okay.
That would be very fun. But yeah, a lot of these blocks are like, you know, there. But then we realized, oh, we should probably like make it for the memes. So we did. There's a lot of meme parts in the store that could probably be simplified. So if you like spotty discrepancies for between now and the tutorial, congratulations. I'll like, I don't know, eat a sock. But yeah, anyway, goodbye,
Yeah.
I guess.
I also like. Yeah.
You also.
Alright. Oh, I was gonna say I wrote a program to generate all the cards for us. So we
Oh
can
yeah,
use that
that's
by-
also kind of important to note. We had a text document with like really shoddy formatting, so we just like, this man literally just like, hey, I'll make a custom parser and then make a gener for that, and it's kind of funny. So oh well.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, the parser's 5 lines long, but whatever. Okay, alright. That actual end of video now.
Yes, actually end of it. Bye.